Welcome back, artists, to contrast warm-up number 8. Today we're going to use value to create contrast, and the way we're going to do that is through an octopus and its tentacles. So you start out by drawing this kind of light bulb shape for his head, and then we're just going to add tentacles. Very organic, and they flow. And the tentacles should be thinner at the ends, thicker as they get closer to the body. We're not going to try to put suction cups or anything on that like that on them. This is just a warm-up. I'm not trying to get too crazy. There's 5. Okay, I believe that's 8. Let's give him an eye. Okay, so there we have an octopus. Took us a second to draw it. The next step we want to take is to lightly use like a medium color and lightly and smoothly color the whole thing, but just slightly, because we want to be able to. This is basically our lightest color that we're going to get. Remember, we're going to use value. So we definitely want to leave some nice light areas. So just color the whole thing nice and neat. Try not to leave any white showing through. So the thing value does, if you look at this now with it just colored solid, there's really no separation. Everything's very flat. It doesn't help us see any of the differences we want to see in this octopus. And so if we begin to add places where there's darker value, so I'm going to start with this tentacle in the back and make it really dark, as if it's in shadow. And it's just going to be really almost a solid dark color here. And I'm actually going to take the black I'm going to leave some of that blue showing, kind of create some form here with my shadow to the underside of the tentacle here, so that it looks like the light's catching just some of the top side of this tentacle, right? So then what we're going to do is we're going to start working around these different tentacles and try to create some different values. Now this tentacle is closer to the front, so what I'm going to do is on the underside again, I'm going to gradually let it get lighter so that the top where the light would be hitting it is lighter. And maybe here where the crease is, I'll use a little bit of black, but not as much because this is closer to the light. It's on the front. And we're just going to go around each of the tentacles and do similar things and just think about how the light would be laying or hitting this octopus. Where would it be hitting? If it's coming from, say, this direction, how's this gonna work out? So we'll do the tentacles first. Now this tentacle might be a little darker because it's kind of under the other one. Maybe the light's only hitting, the middle of it a little bit. Again, we can go back to our black, which really helps provide contrast. That real dark next to the lighter helps provide separation in the tentacles so that we can see what's going on there. This one's kind of underneath, so we're going to see a little less of it as well. And you work this out for yourself as you think about how the light's going to be. And, I always tell you guys that practicing is how you're going to learn. And so just try different things. This is a warm-up. That's why we do it, is to learn stuff. And so sometimes the best way to learn is just to screw it up. And you'll know better next time. You'll know to try something different. I'm going to make this one real dark again. This is kind of toward the back side of our octopus here. I think this one in the back, it might catch some of the light actually. We'll leave a little bit more bright on that one. Okay, and then we have the head itself. Unless you want to try to blend in some of this other value that's coming from the tentacles. And so if the light's coming from our left, then the back side of his head here is going to be nice and dark. And gradually go back to light. So there we go. I think this is a good exercise too, to force ourselves to use really dark shadows, which I think when we are as we're beginning artists, we tend to shy away from that and be a little scared that we're going to mess something up. And so this is a good exercise to really force yourself to use some very dark shading in some areas, and just see how that dark shading provides such a better contrast than if we only use a medium shading and a light shading. If you want to take the final step here and take your white colored pencil and maybe in some of those lighter areas to go over, this doesn't really add any white, but it does help. It kind of works as a blender, and it'll smooth everything out for you and make it look a little more finished. And it does, in those lighter places, it does just give it more of a smooth appearance, which actually helps with the highlight. So there you go. There is our, use the black. This is contrast number 3, sorry. So I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll be back tomorrow for another contrast warm-up.